Hello again and welcome to the Mordian Glory Battle Report. Now today guys we will be using the Mordian 50th Rifles and we will be taking on the Dark Elder from Johnny's channel, the Schola Progenium. So for those of you that don't know, me and Johnny are brothers. We have our own separate YouTube channels, but we like to show lots of different armies off. And one of Johnny's projects that he's been completing over the course of lockdown has been his Drukhari. One of the ones I was completing was my Mordian Iron Guards. So we love facing these two lockdown armies off against each other.
I mean, these have taken a while to get to this point. You know, but it was really good to have that little couple of months where I wasn't driving into work every day.
Yeah.
And I was working from online instead, but I had the time to do some paintings in that driving time.
Exactly.
Every day.
So we'll go through the Mordian Iron Guard first, and then we'll switch over to the Drukhari. So starting off, we have 3 detachments today, guys. Oh yes, spending all the CP pre-game, because I don't really have a choice if I want to run this army the way I love to. So we'll start off with the 1st battalion, or platoon as I like to run it.
Now Tim, pray do tell, do you have the Mordian sort of stratagem, not stratagem, you know what I mean? I have a trait on these Mordians.
I have
this first attachment of Mordians.
I have the better Mordian trait that I use the custom regiment trait from the Greater Good, because the Mordian Iron Guard trait is essentially useless. You're actually better off becoming a Gene Cult Brood Brother and getting a better effect. So
Mordians engaged in that war against the Tau Empire, were they on that front? Do you have those abilities, or are you just shirking your terrible trait that the Mordians have?
I'll make no bones about it. I am shirking the terrible trait because, as previously mentioned, it is terrible. And Games Workshop, they like to fix Talam, but Mordians are the red-headed stepchild. So what I do to represent my Mordians much more effectively, guys, is I take the 2 custom traits from the Greater Good book, and I take Wilderness Survivors, and I take Disciplined Shooters. Now you might be like, Wilderness Survivors, Mordians, that doesn't make sense. They don't stick bits of the leaves in the uniform. Well, Wilderness Survivors basically gives you a +1 to save as long as you don't advance. And the Mordian fluff is they actually have flak and carapace woven into their dress uniforms, and as long as they sort of advance forward in unbroken ranks, it's actually really difficult for enemies to stop that inexorable advance. So that's how I use the Wilderness Survivors trait. I actually use it to represent this just unbroken line of almost semi-carapace armour. And then the Disciplined Shooters trait, well, Mordians are famous for their disciplined volleys of lasgun fire, and the majority of the weapons in this armour that will benefit from the 18-inch rapid fire from the Disciplined Shooters will be my lasguns. So, all jokes aside, Johnny loves to poke fun at me about, using a non-Mordian army.
Can I just borrow your camera 1 second? So, Tim likes to pretend that he's a loyal servant of the Imperium. But just look at this shirt that he's wearing right now. Let be in no doubt, viewers, of who the heretic is this day on this battlefield.
All I can say, gentlemen, is we're in the guard now. We have to call upon every resource we can. But jokes aside, so we'll go through. So Joy likes to poke fun at me for the trait, but the Iron Guard trait is practically useless.
It's not a good combination.
It's practically useless, and this is
18-inch rapid fire, +1 to your armour save. Can't complain.
Exactly, and it's fortunate it is actually very good to represent the Mordians properly.
Well, that's just like your opinion.
That's just my opinion, man. Anyway, we've had a massive preamble. Let's actually get into the lists. So, starting off with the first attachment of Mordians, we have a company commander with bolter. We have a Lord Commissar with bolter and power sword. We have a Minister and Priest with chainsaw and autogun. And we have a junior officer with las pistol and power sword. We then have the main meat of the platoon, which is 6 infantry squads. The first one has las cannon and grenade launcher. The next 2 have missile launcher and grenade launcher. All 3 sergeants in this section have just las pistol and chainsword. Then we have 3 assault squads of Mordians. All 3 of these have got melter guns. 2 of the sergeants have got las pistol and power sword, and 1 of the sergeants has las pistol and chainsword. We then have a unit of mortars, a unit of veterans with 3 plasma guns, power sword, and a plasma pistol, and then a big old block of Bulgarins. I absolutely love these guys. 9 Bulgarins. It's just absolutely just a massive block. They always absorb a lot of firepower, even if it's anti-tank firepower. They always takes the enemy 2 or 3 turns to really just chew through them. So they're really good at just getting punched in the face. We then have the second detachment with a company commander with las pistol and chainsword, a Lord Commissar with bolt pistol and power sword, a Minister Priest with las pistol, chainsword and autogun, and a platoon commander with las pistol and power fist. We then have 6 more infantry squads, and as you can see today, guys, we are loaded out for close combat. We are going to get stuck in with the bayonets. So we've got las pistol, power sword and a flamer, las pistol, power sword and a melter gun, plasma pistol, chainsword and a flamer, and then we have another las pistol, power sword and a melter gun squad, las pistol, chainsword, flamer squad, las pistol, power sword and a flamer squad. And then again we have another squad of mortars just for raining some death down on the enemy, and another veteran squad with 3 plasma guns, a plasma pistol and a power sword. Now what's different this time, last time I ran a unit of Ogrins. This time I've swapped those Ogrins out, switched things around a little bit, and I'm able to take a 3rd detachment of Tempestus Scions, the Stormtroopers. Those of you that have been following my channel know that the Stormtroopers in my list are not actually, fluff-wise, they're not actually a separate thing from the, Schola Progenium. They are actually the elite, the best of the best, the absolute hardened veterans of the Mordian 50th Rifles, and they're actually the Assault Corps. And today we will be having 3 5-man squads. First one with a plasma gun and a grenade launcher, second one with double plasma gun, and the third one with double melter gun. We're then going to have a Tempesta Prime leading them in a patrol detachment today, and he's going to have just a chainsword and a rod of command. Last but not least, we have probably an auto include in any guard list at this point, a Master of Ordnance. Really good model, 35 points, and he's just good for holding objectives, but most importantly you spend 1 CP on him and he can once per game call down a basically 6-shot Basilisk bombardment. It's really, really good. That's the main reason you take him. 35 points and 1 CP later you can call in 6 big shells. So this is the list. It is almost 2,000 points to the nose. I believe it's 1997. Fantastic year. We've mixed things up a little bit. We haven't got as many Ogrins, but instead we've got some additional maneuverability with the Scions. But let's see the true masters of mobility now and go over to the Drukhari. So before we move on to the Dark Eldar, just a quick one. The warlord for my army today will be the Lord Commissar, as is tradition, and he will have the Master of Command warlord trait, which allows him to issue an order. With running lots and lots of infantry, I need to get as many orders on the battlefield as possible, and he sort of subs in for a pseudo company commander. And the relic bearer will be this platoon commander, and he will have the Dagger of Tusaka, which will allow him and 1 infantry squad, probably a squad of veterans, to outflank. I have actually spent, so that puts me on 7 CP. I have actually spent an additional CP pre-game to take Progeny of Conflict on this guy here, on this Tempesta Prime, because he's going to be a Lambden Lion Tempesta Prime, and he will take the Lambden Lion Warlord trait, which will allow all these guys to reroll 1s. It's better than actually taking an extra relic and taking the Tiberius relic, because I was done that to give everyone for the reroll 1s order. But if I can just give him the good old reroll 1s or a bubble, that's much better. So that will actually put me down to 6 CP before we start, and then what I'm actually going to do, guys, just declare this now whilst Johnny's just tidying a few little bits up on his list.
Just checking a rule.
Just checking a rule here and there. I will actually be outflanking an additional squad of veterans, so that will put me down another CP. So I'm actually going to be starting this game with only 5 CP, which seems crazy, but considering that I don't have a huge amount to spend my command points on, I mean, 1 CP a turn to make the mortars good, 1 CP a turn to issue an additional order. That's pretty much all I'm really probably going to need. So we'll see how it goes, guys. I'm planning on spending lots pre-game rather than sort of wasting them frivolously in-game. So we're going for a different approach today. But now that's all the Gar stuff wrapped up. I'm sure many of you are going to be eager to see the amazing Drukhari army, so we'll go over to them now. So here we have 2,000 points of Dark Elder, or if you want to use the modern name, Drukhari.
1997.
1997, and again, a great year.
Some vintage lists.
Absolute vintage list, vintage year. So Johnny, for those of you who don't know, has been building this Dark Elder army up with a really, really cool theme. We've been over it before, but just to touch on it briefly, his witch cult is more of a modern pay-per-view witch cult where live stream. Basically, they live stream all their raids. So the hard-working, everyday man of the Dark Elder can get his taste of pain from the comfort of his view screen. Basically,
yeah. I always like to say when you've had a tiring day whipping slaves down the Splinter Pistol factory, you get home, want to put your feet up.
Exactly.
Stick on a bit of live stream, real space raids.
Exactly.
So they've all got cameras attached to their pistols and GoPros on, and they'll be you viewers are tuning in tonight for a great show. Exactly.
So really cool bit of fluff. If you want to sort of really understand it in much more detail, we went through that in the last battle report. So we'll check that out. I'll probably put a link in the description below. But okay, without further ado, John, do you want to take us through this list?
So, for streamlining purposes, just for speed, and so you guys at home can understand.
Streamlining, speed, very Dark Elder.
I've basically gone for one cult overall, and I've gone for the Cult of the Cursed Blade. Now, I'm dabbling between the Cult of Strife, which gives every unit +1 attack in the first round of combat, or Cursed Blade, which gives you +1 strength always, and you can only ever lose one model from battle shock. So I'm essentially immune to battle shock, and I will be immune from, I think, turn 3 when I become, or 4 when I become, from
Power
from Pain stops it. And then the thing you do, because I've got so many witch units, then what I can do is use combat drugs to make them the other thing that the cult I don't pick has. So at the moment I'm Cult of Cursed Blade, so everyone is +1 strength, and my combat drugs and my infantry are all the +1 attack combat drug, and I can spam that because of the amount of witch units I've got, because once you've selected 6 combat drugs, you then can put whatever you want once you've used all the drugs once.
Right.
So that's sort of the foundation of the list that I've built it up from. But I do sometimes swap it around, but at the moment, this is what I'm going with. This is what I'm playing with at the moment. I've built the list, and this is kind of only the units I have. I have an extra raider, I have a few extra units here and there, but not really that much. The way I'm experimenting and developing my tactics and list at the moment is with the different factions and abilities available. So I know Test of Skill is excellent, and now I'm just trying something a bit different.
Yeah, well, you built this list for bikes, and everything else is just a bonus, really.
Yeah, exactly. And that core hasn't changed, because I'll take you through the list now in more detail. So we've got two Succubi in the HQ choices, and one, this is Drozar, custom built. He's my arena champion, and he's contractually has to appear in every battle because I'm sponsored by Hypex Ultra.
Nice.
Gets the kill faster, or
slay the day away. Hypex Ultra.
Yeah, it's twice the kill, half the calories. Hypex Ultra.
Exactly.
So these guys are leading the force now. This girl is my warlord, and she'll be using the she'll have the
Val Bouquet?
No, she's got the Triptych Whip, which gives her an extra 3 attacks, and it's a poison weapon, so always wounds on 4 up against anything that isn't vehicles. Vehicles it wounds on 6s, and it's AP -2.
So is that her warlord trait, her relic?
That's her relic.
Okay.
And then her warlord trait is the file is Stim Addict.
Okay.
And that allows her to take 2 combat drugs.
Nice.
So the combat drugs that she has is +1 attack and +1 to her weapon skill, just because.
Right. Okay.
Now, because she's got the glaive in the other hand, which would make her -1 to hit, but instead she's going to be hitting on full strength, hitting on full ability. So she always hits on 2s. This woman's just a blast pistol and glaive, no special abilities, anything like that, but her combat drug is +2 movement. She's very fast.
Yes.
Very, very fast. Drazar, we know, is just an absolute machine. Then he's not an HQ, but he is a character. I have a Beastmaster, and he's a great use for the +2 leadership combat drug. Essentially gives these guys fearless because they can use his leadership if they're within 6 inches of him.
Yeah.
If he's a leadership 9, I'm never going to lose enough guys, and it's just never going to happen. So he's my additional character, so to speak, in the list, and he's an elite. Then to go into the fast attack choices, we have a unit of Clawed Fiends. Now these guys are just great as a mobile shield to cover infantry. They were much better in 8th edition because as soon as I lose one, you can now target any characters that they're stopping.
Yeah.
In the units. That's a bit unfortunate, but a lot of people ignore them. They run forward and they're really good Primaris killers. I think they're 5 attacks each, 6 if the model's wounded, strength 5, AP -1,
Just tough.
2 damage.
Tough, cheap meat.
Tough, cheap meat. They bring a lot of wounds, 5 wounds each. The rest of the fast attack, and they don't count as a slot.
Yes.
That's the important thing. So
because you have the Beastmaster.
Yeah, exactly. Oh no, just in general. Well, yeah, I think so. Either way, they don't fill up a slot. The beasts themselves. Then I've got 3 units of 9 Reavers. These take the combat drug. All of them take +1 toughness. So 1 comes with the one I have to take, and then I give out of my optional drugs 2 more. So they all are toughness 5. They all have 3 blasters in them. And they also all have 3 grav talons in them, which is when you charge, as soon as you charge, you get 4 up for each grav talon. You roll d6 on a 4, you're doing mortal wound.
Right.
Now, these guys, they're also strength 5 because of the Curse Blade trait. Now, moving on to my infantry and transports, I have 5 squads of 5 witches. They're all kitted out exactly the same. They all have the +1 attack combat drug. So they come with 2 attacks base, +1 for their weapon and +1 for the combat drugs. That puts them on 4 attacks, strength 4 each.
Very nice.
Each unit has a Hydra Gauntlet. And this guy's actually just a place marker because I often give that squad a different combat drug. They would normally take...
It's a Hydra net.
So it's a Hydra net, essentially. And I use that as a place marker, but today it's not necessary because I've got the Stim Addict, which uses up their extra combat drug, which would normally be different.
When you're tricking out your different attachments.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just as one of those is how the army looks. So yeah, all in all, that's 1997 points. My Raiders, due to the points increase, these both have Dark Lances on, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The Venom's just Splinter Cannon, Splinter Rifle as standard. And these guys are Splinter Cannons and
Dark Lances?
No, they haven't got Dark Lances. They've got twin Dizzies each, and I just need to check if they. I'll tell you when we start the game. They might have only Splinter Rifles on them.
Okay.
Because that's been quite a lot of points increases for the Drukhari, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, so some kind of splinter weapon, 2 disintegrators, and then the missiles that they come with. That
so it's either 4 or 6 shots. You know what I mean?
Okay. So 1997 on both sides, fantastic year, greatly represented today in the 2 lists. So what we're going very retro. What we're going to do is now put the armies to one side, put the board out, get the terrain out, set it up, go through the mission. So we've been through everything else pre-game. So we'll see you then on the field of battle. So here we have the field of battle after deployment. Today's mission is number 5 on the Eternal War chart. It is Strike Force Scorched Earth. That means there are 6 objectives, 2 in each player's deployment zone and 2 in no man's land. The one in the Mordian deployment zone are here, and there's one under there. The 2 in no man's land are here, and underneath this fine upstanding truck. And then we have
nothing to see
the
there.
2, and nothing to see there, and then the 2 in the Dark Elders deployment zone are there and there. Secondaries for each side. The Imperial Guard have taken Raise the Banners, Engage on all fronts, and Assassinate. The reason we've gone for Assassinate is because Jonathan has lots of combat characters. Therefore, if he wants to get them involved, he has to put them at risk, and therefore give me potentially 4 points for each one of those characters. 3 points, sorry, for each one of those characters. The Dark Elder have gone for Engage on all fronts. They've also gone for Assassinate because there are 9 guard characters on the board. And then they have taken differently, they've gone for thin their ranks, because obviously there's a lot of guard infantry here. Now Johnny does have to pretty much kill all the infantry to max out thin their ranks,
Every kill counts.
but every kill he gets is a point.
It's what the viewers want.
It's what the viewers want. So, deployment, we'll go through that now. The Imperial Guard, we've formed our mortar pit here, and then we've gone for a nice line, 2 ranks deep of infantry across the front. We've sort of formed the 2 castles, one holding this home objective, a bit of a middle bit which can go to either side, whichever one seems to be struggling, and then another castle. So both of my starting objectives have 40 infantry within range of them, and also a couple of squads nearby to reinforce in case the ranks indeed do begin to thin. Now, over here on the Dark Elder side, they've gone for lots of bikes in this Tower of Pain, and then they've gone the beasts and the planes in the centre, and then just a cheeky venom over there behind that. Swinging around just so you guys can get a full picture of it. We have 2 raiders here, and all of those transports are chock full of combat witches, ready to rip and tear. In reserve, the Dark Elder have nothing, I believe.
Nothing.
In reserve for the Imperial Guard, we have 2 squads of veterans with a platoon commander, 3 squads of scions with a Tempesta Prime. So we have lots of plasma in reserve. The reason we've done this, guys, is we've learned from our mistakes. If we have plasma starting on the board, it gets taken out straight away, and it is, you know, essentially useless. So we've put our hard-hitting units in reserve. That does mean we're going to have to survive a turn, potentially 2, depending on who wins the roll-off, without our heavy hitters. So it's big. It could be a big gamble. So that's the mission. That's the secondaries. That's the deployment, and that's the tactics. All of that means nothing to the dice gods. Johnny's got a white dice. I have a green dice. We're going to roll off to see who picks the first turn.
Comes to super proceedings, 3 and a 6.
So the Imperial Guard have got it with a 6. Now, and Commissar Kylo Cat has decided to oversee the proceedings. Now, it's interesting. Although it may not be ideal for me to go first, not all my firepower will be in range, I think giving the Dark Elder turn 1 is going to be giving them a turn 1 charge. They can go 18 inches with those bikes. We're only 24 inches apart, so 6-inch charge. Very possible for them to just get a turn 1 charge across the board. So I think every bike that we can kill is good, and I also think it gives our chance for our reserves to come in a bit quicker as well. So
I was actually going to give you first turn if I had won.
Were you? Interesting. So the Commissar approves. The cat approves. Let's see what happens at the end of guard turn 1. So a very subdued guard turn 1, but we're kind of okay with that. We've only pushed forward slightly, so we've pushed forward a bit with this castle, just starting to take that middle ground. And then over here, what we did is we actually stayed still with most stuff. Surprising, I know, but we've pushed forward 2 squads to make a screen, and then we've put the Bulgrins behind, because the Dark Elder, they wanted me to rush forward with everything so that they could then push back and just start tearing me to pieces. But I don't want to give the Dark Elder that opportunity. So what I've done is push forward a bit of screening, and then next turn, if I want to, I can start laying on the hurt. And especially if the Dark Elder come out to greet me, it's kind of put them in, I like to think it's put them in a catch-22, but I could be totally wrong. They might just go bonkers and just charge at me. So that's my movement. In terms of objectives, I've raised 3 banners. The Bulgrins are actually in range of raising this banner here. This squad is raising that banner there, and this junior officer has raised this banner here. So pretty good on the banner raising front. Didn't manage to get engaged in all fronts yet, but we're sort of pushing towards it. We're going to start working on it. In terms of damage, like I said, not a lot of damage at all. Johnny got really lucky on some fire weapon vulnerables. I got pretty unlucky in some other places. But like I said, wasn't too bothered about what damage I did. So end result was just 1 wound on a Clawed Fiend there, and then 5 wounds on a Raider here. I have used 3 CP this turn. 1 to make my mortars better, which actually Johnny then countered with a -1 to hit with lightning fast reflexes. And then I used 1 for Master of Ordnance Bombardment, which Johnny did fail 3 saves, but then he countered that by rolling a CP reroll and making 3 out of 5 saves on his raider, and then my damage was very weak.
You did 4, and then you did 1 more wound with a lucky baskin, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And then I spent 1 more CP to reroll a damage on a missile launcher, which was a 2, and I rerolled it into a 1. Really disappointing there. So the Dark Elder army is pretty unscathed, but the guard hasn't pushed up too much just yet. We're playing it a bit cagey.
Stated your, come no further, Xenos.
Exactly. We're playing it a bit cagey. So we'll see what the Dark Elder can do to respond in their turn 1. So end of Dark Elder turn 1. A good turn, but with some ups and downs, which is leaving Johnny a little uncertain, shall we say. Didn't quite go how you expected. So
got some bad luck on the charges.
Yeah. So we'll go through the sort of movement, shooting, and then charge and fight phase. So the movement for the Dark Elder, surprisingly cagey. Johnny didn't fall for the I've not quite gone up to your bikes trick, which is fine. I think it means he'll have a cracking turn too. But basically, these Dark Elder bikes came over to here. So you've got one squad that was on the top floor that just slid to the left, just went over here. And the squad that was on the second floor did exactly the same thing. And they've gone just above that objective, so they are within 3 inches of it. So they are holding that. These witches, these 2 squads here, got out of this raider. And the raider moved up, and then this raider also moved up. It was their pre-charge phase.
Decent, really good charge.
Yeah, so, and then over here, the Clawed Fiends were behind the obscuring bit of terrain. The bikes got nice in my face, and these witches got out of the venom, and the 2 characters actually got in the party bus. So the Dark Elder was set up for, in a quite nice position. The shooting phase began, and it was respectable. Not amazing. I'm always surprised at how this army just does a decent shooting phase. I always expect it to absolutely cream me. But I guess, blasters, at the end of the day, they're single shot weapons. Sometimes they do well, sometimes they don't. So, long story short, we had 2 planes with the big hitting weapons, and all the bikes and the raiders go into the Bullgrins with all the big shot weapons. Blasters, Dark Lancers, Dizzies, and they killed 5. Now, when you think about how many special weapons that is, it just goes to show how tanky those Bullgrins are. I mean, I'm really starting to think I should be running 18 of these guys. Various other splinter fire weakened the 3 squads that were up here, and a couple of casualties on the screening squad. So the screen had took a bit of splinter fire. Men were going down left, right, and centre. What was really interesting is I didn't actually roll that many 4s on my armour saves for cover, but I made about 50% of them anyway. So I was making loads of 5s and 6s, but my trait didn't really come into it. But statistically, it did basically. Then the charge phase came, and it started off like, it's going a bit funny here. So these witches failed to connect. Just nothing Johnny could do about it.
I had a 6-inch charge for these witches, a 6-inch charge for these witches,
and a
6-inch charge for these witches, and a 6-inch charge for the Beastmaster.
And you failed.
You made
even
one. With a reroll.
Even with a reroll, you made 2 rerolls.
And I'd also spent CP to make one of the squads have a
additional power from pain level.
Yeah, which let them reroll advance and charge. Obviously, I didn't advance, but that was just so that essentially I didn't use it for the advance, used it for the charge, obviously. But all in all, after all of that, I got a 4 or 5 to charge in the charge phase, so it just fell apart.
Basically, 4
everything was in the perfect position. Even the raiders made it in preparation.
So 4 squads went in first, and even with 2 rerolls, only one of them made it. The Clawed Fiends, I think you failed, and they had a reroll as well, didn't they? Because of the Beastmaster, but they needed their reroll.
And they got it in.
So basically, the only unit, summary of the charge phase, the only unit that made it in without any help was 1 squad of bikes and 2 raiders.
Yeah.
And then out of the other 5 units with 3 rerolls between them, only 2 made it.
Yeah, 3 rerolls between them, 2 made it.
Then the fight phase kicked in, and
I didn't
interrupt. Johnny killed this squad. You can just see the sergeant in there, down to just the sergeant. I spent 2 CP to keep him around.
Your last turn.
With my last tomb, we'll go into that in a moment. And then, various attacks from Clawed Fiends and bikes, and basically this squad was killed down to 5 men. This squad was killed down to 3 men. this squad was killed down to 3 men, and this squad only lost a couple of guys. So the screen taking a bit of a battering. Morale wasn't an issue. 1 squad failed, but no one else additionally ran away. That's thanks to the Lord Commissars just being pretty prevalent. Then, like I said, I spent my last 2 CP to keep that sergeant alive. Now you might think, madness, why'd you do that? Well,
You've got a banner.
I've got a banner here, and Johnny's only got 1 person, OBSEC person in range, and I've got 1 OBSEC person in range. So what that means is that objective keeps its banner.
Indeed.
So that's actually really, really big, because I'll probably be able to move on some more OBSEC onto that area now. And yeah, exactly. So I'll be able to basically keep that banner going with just that 1 sergeant. Just keep the banner, protect the banner. So very cool. So that's the. We'll just double check that's correct. But that's the end of the Dark Elder turn. So at the end of turn 1, the Imperial Guard will get our 2 points to raise the banners, and the Dark Elder will gain 3 points for engaging all fronts. But they haven't got Assassinate yet, and the Thin the Rank points, they're probably on about 2 Thin the Rank points as well at the moment. So the Dark Elder are on about 5 points, the Guard are going to be on 2 points. But we'll see what happens going into the Guard turn 2 when we can start scoring some primary. So end of Imperial Guard turn 2, and we've done what we had to do. Johnny knows what's coming. The Guard got hit hard, but they hit back even harder. Best. I should have that as my tagline for my channel. So, disciplined ranks of Mordian Iron Guard formed up in the face of aggressive Dark Elder manoeuvres. 3-man squad fell back here. They managed to actually fall back with some witches, the absolute heroes. The 8-man squad that's here also fell back. Then, on this side, this 6-man squad fell back, this 3-man squad fell back, and this 1-man squad fell back. Just to clarify,
the not cultist vehicle.
The not cultist vehicle. Just to clarify, we checked the way OBSEC works, and long story short, Johnny actually did control it, because if you've both got OBSEC in range, then it goes back to who's got the most models as normal. So Johnny did have more models in range. So I didn't raise my banner there, but we gave him my 2 CP back, basically. So that was my movement. And then marching on from the back came the veterans and the junior officers. Now the reason I had to bring them on from the back is because one of the squads was in strategic reserve. It was only the first turn it could come in, so it could only come in my deployment zone. I didn't want to spread them out too much, so I thought let's march on a couple of squads of reinforcements. That was movement. Then shooting began. Disciplined volleys of lasgun fire from over here. From this squad, we were able to eliminate the 5 witches there. Another volley of lasguns killed the 5 witches there. And
another volley killed the 5 witches here.
Oh, and another volley killed the 5 witches there. 3 squads, 3 volleys, 3 kills. Like 3 full squad wipe kills. So far, so good. We then started, the veterans then unleashed their fury into the bikes. Now, Johnny spent 3 CP on them to give them an extra extra armour save in cover, which meant they were on a 2 up in cover with the models that were in the cover. And then he also gave them -1 to hit. So he burned a lot of CP. Considering he started with 12, he's only got 3 left.
Yeah.
But that was really good. Because normally you'd want to take the models off that are out of cover and then go for your cover save first. But Johnny was really clever about it and actually started taking the saves on the ones in cover so he could get his bonus. So they were on a 2 up, -1 to hit. The veterans, 1 squad fired normally, 1 squad used a CP from Greater Good called Experienced Die, which gave them an extra AP -1. Long story short,
hammered them with plasma.
Absolutely hammered them with plasma. I was pretty lucky with the hits. Only 1 guy overheated and killed himself. And the end result was 4 bikes killed and 1 wounded, so 4.5. Johnny got a couple of 6 up feel no pains where it mattered, so that when the next 2 wounds came in,
it just finished one off.
It just finished one off, so that was good. And then we returned to the disciplined volley of lasgun fire. And just volley after volley went into the clawed fiends that were here, and just one by one the foul beasts fell under the torrent of las bolts and frag grenades.
I couldn't make saves this turn.
Johnny couldn't make any saves, and I was doing just nice and normal, maybe 1 or 2 dice above normal, but not too bad. Just for once I got, when I fired a volley, the volley bloody did it. For once.
You didn't have a single bad roll, yeah.
For once. And then we came over to the remainder of this platoon over here. Now, between the couple of squads that are underneath there, I won't get the camera down there, but there's 2 more squads underneath there, and the missile launcher squad, we were able, and one of the mortar squads, we were able to kill this raider.
He didn't have any more shooting left.
No more shooting left. And then the raider decided that it wasn't going to explode, but that all the witches inside were going to break their legs.
It was a terrible crash.
Out of 10 dice, Johnny rolled 4 ones and took 2 witches from each squad. So that's like a free witch kill there as well. Last but not least on the shooting front.
6 witches on the field.
Last but not least on the witch shooting front, I used my final remaining CP to call in a concentrated barrage onto the beast mass that was
and
there.
I thought he'd got away with it because like you had barely any shooting left, and I thought, I'll live for 1 turn, but
not quite. So concentrated mortar barrage, and Johnny, unfortunately, because I'm wounding on 2s then, because he's only toughness 3, mortar strength 4 with +1 to wound from concentrated barrage, just slammed rounds into him, and he just got on his little hoverboard, just got taken out.
Plus assassinators. So.
It's really good. So. Final bit to mention is the remaining Bulgarins went in and cleared out that damaged raider. They only had 5 runes left, but they needed to stop it from tying things up. So, at the end of that turn, the Guard have done what they needed to do to keep themselves in this game. And maybe, worry the Dark Elder a little bit here. We've eliminated the majority of the OBSEC. We've eliminated one of the hard-hitting units. We've tickled one of the bikes, but not killed it. And we have also claimed an assassination point. But all this bike shenanigans remain. And the actual core firepower of the Dark Elder has not been affected. So it's going to be painful next turn. They're going to be in rapid fire range now. So it's going to be. I think this could be a turn 2 for both sides. Could be an absolute hammer blow.
Let's hope so.
This is the points as they stand. The Imperial Guard, 10 for primary, 2 for raising the banners, 2 for engaging all fronts, 3 for assassinate, leaving us with a total of 17 points. Dark Elder entering their turn 2 will have 13, plus I'd say about 2 points within the ranks, maybe even 3. So it could be 17 points to 16 going into the Dark Elder turn 2. So they're not out of this yet, but they have taken a punch to the face.
Yeah.
Let's see what the Drukhari can do in their turn 2. What an absolutely just nail-biting, topsy-turvy turn for the Drukhari. They tried everything, but just seems like maybe they've been sold a dodgy batch of Hypex Ultra. Maybe they bought Ulpex Hydra and the cheap knockoff, Poundland knockoff version. So shooting-wise, some infantry underneath the base of Doom were shredded by Splinter Fire, and then the rest of it, to be honest, went into the Ogrins/Bulgarins, and they ate it. The Drukhari were like, eat lead! And the Ogrins actually ate it, and the Drukhari were like, oh, well, it appears they actually eat lead. So they actually took it all the way to there was still 1 left, and he passed a leadership check at the end. Then the dreaded Drukhari charge phase happened. These 2 witches went into this Bulgarin. They did a wound to him. I just need to put his wound counter back, and in return he bopped one on the head. So 1 for 1 there. The other 3-man witch squad went into a 6-man guard squad and killed 3 of them. And then underneath it, it's really difficult to see, so I'll try and get it under here. Underneath, the bikes swarmed, between shooting and charges, swarmed the 2 infantry squads that were there and killed them down to 1 man who did make his leadership check. His buddy fled and then he made it, so good on him. Over here, the bikes pulled off a dastardly manoeuvre and went all in against my officer, but after the caltrops had settled...
I did 3 attempts at mortal wounds.
3 attempts at mortal wounds.
Talons, and on a 4-up, and I got 1.
And then he went in with the attacks and just
Did every attack on the squad.
And I only failed. I had to fail. He only did 2 wounds to me, and I made one of them. 5 up invuln, 5 up armour, just having a great time. So they actually failed to kill an officer, but they did in their shooting wipe out 3 mortars. So swings and roundabouts. In return, the veterans swarmed into them, and between the various power swords and everything, they were able to kill one and put one on 1 wound. But Johnny has spent all his CP, because he spent 2 CP in that phase to give them lightning fast reflexes, so they were -1
power
to hit.
swords was bad as plasma when you got priest.
They were all in range of the priest. I was rolling a lot of 4s, so if you hadn't done that, I think you'd be not looking at that bite squad now. Like, they would have been really struggling.
This was a bit of a robbery.
Over here, Johnny used Rosar to charge into all 3 squads, but then went with the Venom first. The Venom killed one, and I was like, okay, I'll just take the one that's in range of Drozar. So Drozar didn't manage to kill them, and that's actually significant because it means they are obsecking that objective, and there's no obsec shenanigans now. They are obsecking it. It's okay. Drozar, in return for that shenanigans, butchered the 6-man squad, fought again, and butchered the 10-man squad down to 5 guys who did pass leadership, but he made all...
Passed all your leaderships.
Passed all my leaderships. But I did fail a couple, but when I failed, like, 1 guy ran and then the others just stayed.
Yeah.
So it wasn't too bad. Drozar, they did put 3 wounds on him, but he made all on his 2 up armour save. He's an absolute beast. So after the dust has settled, this castle is breached, but the Drukhari bikes are contained. This castle is breached, but there's a chance for us to fight back, but there's still so many bikes just in our face here, so it is really tricky. But we do have the best of the best, the glory boys, the stormtroopers, to come in. So it's going to be interesting. At the end of that turn, Johnny did gain 10 for primary and 3 for engaging all fronts. So he'll have 16, and then for his thin the ranks, we're estimating he's got about 6 points there. So at the end of turn 2, the Dark Elder are on 22 points roughly, and the Guard are on 17. But now the Guard are going to get a chance to bring in those delicious Scion reinforcements, and Johnny is flat out of CP. No more -1 to hit shenanigans, no more armour, cover, hunting shadows, shadow hunters. It's a Drukhari army that's got to survive without CP in a Guard shooting phase. Let's see if they can do it. He has tricks up his sleeves, but we'll see if the Guard can just give him one, give him the beans. We'll see if the Guard can do that in their turn 3. So end of the Guard turn 3, a turn of highs and lows, ups and downs, but overall I'd say a really solid turn from the Guard. So first thing that we did is we fell back from the bikes with these 2 squads, and then fell back from Drozar with this squad, and these guys fell back over here. I made a mistake with them, we'll come back to that in a moment.
I did the last battle report.
Fell back over here with everything that needed to fall back. So we playing it cagey, we just fell back. Then we brought in the stormtroopers. Now I was really unsure what to do with the stormtroopers. I have to bring them in, and I wanted to really use them to try and assassinate some bikes, but unfortunately didn't.
Blocked off all around.
I was blocked off, so I brought them in the centre. So they'll have an extra +1 to their armour, so they'll be on a 3 up. But they weren't in ideal range, except for I went for Operation Assassinate Drozar. Give Drozar the beans.
Too easy.
The first squad dropped in with the 2 melters, 2 hits with the reroll, because they have reroll 1s to hit because of the Warlord trait, and then 2 wounds, and then Drozar failed both his 5 vulnerable saves and did 11 wounds to him, and he didn't make a single 6-up feel no pain.
I haven't been making any it's just been...
So we did dedicate 15 men to operate Give Drozar the Beans, but he
fell to the first 2.
He fell to the first 2 guys. So then we turned around and put everything we could into the bikes with the veterans. Now one of the veteran squads actually just kept overheating, and it's now down to just 1 guy with a plasma gun. And then another veteran over here overheated and killed himself. So in 1 turn I killed 3 of my own plasma weapons I should say.
Plasma pistol over here as well, didn't you?
No, he actually did all right. But the end result was, after the veterans and the las, the plasma that did hit, and then the las guns that went in were able to clean the bikes out. So that was good. We then put our remaining firepower here into the venom, and with support from a concentrated barrage from the mortars, we were able to kill.
CP again.
Which was our last CP again. We were able to kill that venom and tumble the succubus out. Then it gets over to the. It's not ideal here, but we're holding on. We've got a castle doing what it has to do. Over here, we were able to, between falling back with the squads and then getting them back into the fight, and then with the 110-man squad that was okay just to shoot normally, we cleared the witches out with a volley of lasgun fire, and then everything else went into the bikes with some supporting fire from the remaining Stormies that were in the centre, just some long-range lasguns, some plasma and grenade launcher,
did really well.
Which did all right. And the end result
down there did not very much at all, but those guys just started walloping kills.
Yeah. And the end result is those bikes, which were a 9-man squad, have been whittled down to 4. So we've killed 10 bikes in one turn and then cleared out the remaining witches. The only witch that's left on the board is this one fighting the Bulgarin. She didn't do any wounds to him, but he killed her mate, but she does have a blast pistol, so that Bulgarin could not be long for this world coming into Drukhari turn. Now the mistake that I mentioned at the beginning is I fell back these guys onto the top of the thing because I just thought it was cool, and then realised I'd been an absolute muppet. I should have fallen back that way, and if I'd done that, I would have gained another 2 points for engaging all front. So that's really stupid of me. But at the end of that turn, I did get +2 for my banners. I did get +15 for primary because I held 3 and Johnny only held 2, and I did get +3 for assassinate. So that's another 20 points for me. So going into turn 3, the Guard are on a cool 37 points, and the Drukhari are not far behind. They're on 20, including with the 10 points they'll get for their turn 2. They'll be on 26, and turn 3, 26, and then they've got the thin the rank points, which is probably another 7 or 8 at this point.
No,
so
it's no way that. It's still about 6.
6 or 7, so they're not as far behind as you think. I think that we're looking at about, both forces are in the 30s when it comes to victory points. So it's still all to play for here, guys. Let's see what the Drukhari can do going to their turn. They've got 2 fully operational flyers, 1.5 bike squads, and a couple of nasty combat characters. Let's see what they can do. So end of Dark Elder turn 3. I think they've done what they needed to do there. They have... They could have boosted themselves into the lead and possibly a victory. So for you Dark Elder players watching it, never give up, never surrender. So,
Cunning, ruthless, and proficiency.
Exactly.
Close air combat weapons.
So Dark Elder, utilising their superior mobility, I knew this was coming, and there's not much I could really do to stop it. They jumped out from there with a full 9-man bike squad, using the remaining 4 or 5 bikes in the other squad, 4 bikes. They combined with 2 flyers. Absolutely, they've been sort of diddling 2 castles at once, and they were like, we're doing it all into one castle now. And as you can see, guys,
when the Obrins aren't there to eat up the shots, the Dizzies can start killing men.
Yeah, so as you can see, guys, it's absolutely just, there's not much left of this castle. It fought hard, it fought valiantly, but it's been absolutely brutalised.
These 4 went round the back.
Yeah, don't worry, I'll cover it, man. So basically, that was the summary. Going into the details, so the big 9-man squad jumped down and ended up underneath there. Okay, now they were going after Guard infantrymen, because as much as Johnny wants to get assassinate points, he's also like, I've given up one objective to take that objective. If just 2 guardsmen survive, it'll be 15 points until the next turn.
Objectives.
Exactly. So a lot of the bike fire surprisingly went into the infantry, but just absolutely shredded it. And then these 4 bikes around here,
and it also totally removed your screen.
These 4 bikes, they removed the back screen with lots of firepower as well, which meant that these 4 characters have been successfully screened all game. Considering at this point in last game I'd given up max assassinate, and in this game I've only given up 6 points, so I'm doing all right. Yeah. But when that screen was gone, these 4 bikes came in. They just blasted and just plasma grenaded and just killed the Master of Ordnance, because he's an easy character point. And then when they went into combat, they did fantastically on their mortal wounds, and did 3 mortal wounds to the officer, who then just got cut down in combat. He did all right. He almost made it, but
he finished off the 1-man squad.
And the last infantry, the last 1-man guy was there. So, long story short, they've gained, the Drukhari have gained 2 character kills this turn, which is a nice 6-point boost to them. And they've also driven the guard off one of their castles, but they didn't touch the stormtroopers. Now that could be a big tactical mistake because they're just loaded with anti-bike firepower.
I just have to, if I'm going for something, if I'm going to get assassinate, I have to clear the screen. Otherwise, you'll leave one man in the way, and then I've got to just kill those guys.
Yeah.
And I did it, and that's 6 points that I can't have taken off me again. And you don't start with more objectives than me, so it's only 10 primaries for you.
Yeah.
So I just took the gamble.
It was a gamble.
I still got 3, and I get 3 points for engaging off front.
Yeah, it was a gamble.
That's 9 now.
It was a gamble, but it has paid off for the Drukhari because in that turn they gained 19 victory points, and we haven't even taken into account thin the ranks yet, which I think they're easily up to a +8. So I think the Drukhari are in a solid lead now with that turn. I've been holding them off, but they're just using that mobility and just brutal firepower. Just came in and just concentrated fire in one area, and just they've really done a good job there. Last thing to mention is this, before we forget, this witch came over here, killed 4 or 5 guard, and then in return took 2 wounds. So
I forgot she didn't have a different loadout because I'm experimenting with a new loadout, and I was like, she'll go in and probably butcher 8 of those and make them run. But I don't think you've done battle shock on them, to be fair. But
I haven't, but I have got a Lord Commissar there, so we'll roll. So they get a 5 plus the 4 that they've lost. They're totally okay.
Crazy.
Leadership 9! 9! Anyway, that is the end of Drukhari turn 3. That's a Hail Mary. Now, if the guard can just crush those bikes, then Dark Elder will struggle to get any more points. So that's what we have to do. We have to crush the bikes, kill that character, and hopefully then we will manage to just claw our way into the lead. But we'll see what the guard can do going into their turn 4. So end of that turn, the guard, they've done everything they can do, but it's really looking like close to the wire here.
I have no idea what's going to happen.
So
exciting.
What looked like a very comfortable guard position is looking like a very tenuous one. So if not, like they're behind and they're trying to catch up. So everything basically swizzled round to this flank, and we moved one castle up, and with our Lord Commissar with his own order, he managed to get in that castle and protect him. So most of the characters are safe. And then, but unfortunately, the priest absolutely messed up his advance. He only got a 1. I mean, I guess priests don't like to withdraw in the face of the enemy, it was still not an ideal time for him to take a moral stance.
His orders, he advanced, but he did it to the bare minimum. Really reluctant to leave.
And then we moved
Martyrdom.
Then we
so close to the Emperor's side.
So then we moved into the shooting phase, and the Glory Boys did all right. They came in and between the 3 squads, and we're not at ideal shooting. We haven't got all plasma all the way, and Johnny's 6 up feel no pains finally kicked in. I mean, I was getting a bit salty about it, but the last turn he made none. This turn he made loads. But after the dust had settled from the Stormies, they had killed
3 from one squad,
3.5 bikes.
Yeah.
And then a concentrated mortar barrage managed to... It picked off the last bike. So 4 bikes were lost from the big squad down there. And then this veteran squad combined with this infantry squad and some other long-range firepower. Yeah, some other long-range firepower. And they also helped but didn't really do much. We're able to kill 3 out of the 4 bikes there. So we've reduced Johnny's bikes from the starting 27 down to 6. So there's not a lot of bikes left. This succubus also, she did die because that squad fell back out of combat, and the junior officer gave them get back in the fight, and they did a wound to her, and then they lobbed a las cannon into her face, and just absolutely swiped, and they're like, dodge this. So they gave her the laser cannon. So
and you run your officer forward so that he could...
Yes, and this Fisty Bro, who's done an absolutely fantastic job this turn, not had a chance to use his power fist yet, but has been doing sterling work.
He got you 2 points.
He's got me 2 points. So, I mean, I missed out on 2 points last turn, and at this stage in the game, it could be a big problem. So, at the end of that guard turn, we're doing respectively. We gained another 10 for primary, +2 for engagement all fronts. We got another character for +3 for assassinate. And then we got +1 for banners, because unfortunately I kind of forgot I don't have that banner anymore. And I should have probably raised a banner there, but foolish me, I'll have to do it at the end. See what banners I can raise at the end of the turn. So at the end of that, I've gained another 16 points. So I'm doing okay. Total guard points, we're looking at 37, 47, 53. And if you add the painting one in, 63. At the end of, but the Dark Elder still got their turn to go. And they're going to get 10 for primary. I can't stop them from doing that. And then, so they're going to be, at the beginning of their turn, they're going to be on 30, 40 with the painting, and then 52, 55, and then whatever they get within their ranks, which at this point is probably like 10 points. So 65. So it is actually really close.
Who knows? I like leaving the thin the ranks uncalculated, because it's like, what is it?
What is it? So the thin the ranks is close, guys. And overall, the points, both sides are in the 60s. Both sides are in the 60s when you take every point into account. So it is still very much on, but the Dark Elder have 2 planes and 6 bikes at their disposal. Let's see what they can do with that. Okay. Dark Elder turn 4, and the layers of cunning are just unfathomable to the guard tacticians.
You're tangled in my web of deceit.
Exactly. So the lone biker boosted over here, goes 8 inches on the advance, got onto that objective. The 5-man bike squad came here, just casual, sort of cruising along, Harley Davidson style, 12 inches.
Nipped in behind the priests.
Nipped in behind the priests. The 2 planes continued their diamond formation.
Yeah, they both stuck in their course, actually. They both only turned a little bit and flew sideways.
Yeah.
You know,
what we're seeing here is the power of planes on engaged North fronts. Oh, so good. So, then the shooting commenced. Now, that flyer over there, plus this blaster, were just able to kill the 7-man veterans. And it's my own just laziness and just throwing models around. I should have just moved those 5 guys into range. I was just being quick on my last turn. So my laziness this game has cost me 5 points there, because I'll only hold 1 objective for primary, and 2 points there. So if I lose this game because of 7 points, it's really frustrating.
I don't think it's necessarily laziness, Tim, because I think the natural assumption was that I was going to focus all my fire into this centre of veterans here, and then and you just wanted to bring everything over here to a mass against these guys. So
they didn't move.
Oh, did they?
That's what I mean. I just went, they'll be fine there, and I should have just half an inch.
They moved.
If I moved 1 inch that way, I would. But such is my laziness. So we'll see if I lose this game because of that. I think there's a chance I will at this late stage.
I've been very precise all game. I've been in the zone, haven't I?
Yeah, despite the fact you've got about 4 models, you've taken twice as long as I have on my turns. Anyway, these guys killed the priest with their shooting. I only had to make 1 4-up save with my priest, and I failed it. And then Johnny just got 6 wounds, so he was marked for death. Then, interestingly, Johnny came in here and killed one of the science squads down to 7 blokes, down to 1 bloke. But then they struck back, and those Landon Lions in combat, they're still AP -1, and Johnny just failed all his saves, no feel, no pains. And between 1 squad he consolidated into and the remaining sergeant there, I killed 2 bikes, which is actually. Basically for free, I killed 2 bikes. Mm-hmm. So there's only 4 bikes left on the board, and there's quite a lot of guard left. So let's see if the guard can do a Hail Mary, and let's see if they can claw some points back. Where we're at with the points now with Johnny's points, he gained another 16 that term, 10 for primary, 3 for assassinate, and 3 for engage on all fronts. Yeah, so 10, 3, and 3, and obviously he's gained a little bit more from. He gained probably another point within the ranks over here, but he's getting. I think he's probably maxed out in the ranks at this point, or he's very close to. He's probably got 12 points for it at this point. So he's definitely. I think Johnny is in the lead here, but let's see.
It's turn 5.
I have a cunning plan.
Oh.
And it might.
Use your cunning knife to hack out of the cunning web.
I think it might actually do something. Let's see what happens in guard turn 5. So end of that guard turn, we've been as sneaky as we could be. We've gained as many points as we could, but maybe it's not enough. We'll see what happens. So We moved the squads that are in combat here out. We fell back this direction. And that actually allowed us to get everyone in range of the succubus that was there. We then moved the 3-man squad here, and they began raising the banner. We moved the officer here, and he raised that banner. Moved an officer there, and he raised that banner. And this las cannon squad raised that banner. So we've got 4 banners, which means I get 4 points at the end of the game. We then managed to get into 4 table quarters, finally. So I gained 4 points for engaging all fronts. That was my movements. That was all my special points I could do, and I got 5 points for primary. So that means we're going to get 12 points in our last turn. So maybe that'll be enough. And then we proceeded to the shooting phase, and these guys here were able to unload into the succubus. And you know what actually got the final kill? It was a grenade launcher. And I poo-poo grenade launchers all the time on Scions. Like, they're not worth it. But land and line grenade launchers are AP -1. And so then I got 6 shots. I had 3 hits. I've got 6 shots, 6 hits. And then, because I had reroll 1s from the aura buff. And then they were the only squad that didn't fall back. So they were able to get reroll 1s to wound from the order. And they were able to reroll those 3 failed wounds were all 1s. I rerolled them, they were all successful wounds. So after lasguns and plasma had brought the succubus down to 1 single wound, the AP -1 land and lion frag grenade launcher put 3 wounds onto her, and she failed the saves, she failed to feel no pains, and she died. That got me another 3 points. That's 15 points final guard turn that we've scored. We were then using some cheeky las guns and some spare firepower from the officer, able to kill the 1-man bike there. The plasma and a frag grenade from the land and lion warlord and first rank fire, second rank fire shots went into this 3-man squad and killed them down to 1 bike with 1 wound. The priest then raised his auto gun, firing twice. He hit twice. He wounded once, and Johnny failed his 4-up save, and then a 6-up feel no pain. And the priest, with a holy autogun round, just a really old autogun that he just inscribes a prayer onto every bullet, finally killed one of the heretical Xenos. The mortars then fired into a plane into nothing. So the end of that turn, all Johnny has left is his 2 planes. That's pretty good going from the guard. And so we've checked, we can't find anything about boots on the ground in 9th edition, so far as we know, those planes are going to get their last hurrah to fly around and try and score Johnny some thin their rank points. But that's the end of the guard turn. Let's see what Johnny can do with his 2 flyers. Okay. Dark Elder, 10-5. So, final turn for the Dark Elder. Final turn of the game. It was a last hurrah, and they actually did alright from it. So the 2 planes came flying down, and between one was here, one was here. Johnny just started packing up, and between them they just sprayed into the squads that were down here, and were able to kill another 10 models, which is actually an extra thin their rank point. So really big. And that was it. They couldn't get any primary, they couldn't get engaged in all fronts, they couldn't get any more assassinate because I was just hiding everything.
I had 1 jet bike left. 1 jet bike.
A jet bike, my kingdom for a jet bike. So we've added the scores up, we've triple checked them, and this is how it stands. The Drukhari have 30 points for primary because they got 10, 10 and 10, but they didn't get any turn 1 and they didn't get any turn 5, so 30 points. They then got 9 assassinate points, 12 engage in all fronts, and then 14 thin the ranks for a total of 35, which gives them 65, and then you add the painting score into it, which gives them a total of 75 out of 100 points. Very well done to the Drukhari there. The Guard, however, got 40 points in the primary. Even though we gave 5 points up 1 turn for being a muppet, we were able to mostly just deny the Drukhari primary in our side and take them off them a couple of times. So we got 40 points there. We then, with that final hurrah on the banners, got 10 points, because you count your banners at the end of the game, you get a point for each one you've got raised.
6 up to that point. I'd really been ripping them banners
Those
down.
banners have been ripped down, but we kept putting them up. And then on Assassinate, we actually got as many as we could get. We got 12 points. That last Succubus, it was an 8-point swing, because it stopped Johnny from getting 1 primary objective.
Stopped me from getting table quarters.
Stopped Johnny from getting table quarters, so that's a 10-point swing, and gave me 3 points to Assassinate. So that grenade launcher that I poo-pooed. So 10-point swing there, and then we got 7 points to engage on fronts. I struggled to engage on all fronts. I mean, the way I was playing, the most I probably would have got was 10, and I only got 7.
The guard never made it basically
Past the middle point.
past the middle point.
But
yeah.
we'll get into that. We'll get into that in the after action. Why I didn't do that. But the end result is 69 points. Nice. But add the 10 points for painting, 79 points, which means the guard have won it by 4 victory points. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. So
It would have been another draw back in the old days.
would have been a drawback in the old days. I mean, I made it too close myself. I shouldn't have thrown away the 7 points, but it just goes to show, guys, you know, I didn't. You know, I'm not saying I got those 7 points. I didn't. And don't anyone think that I'm trying to like make it out like I could have scored even bigger. I didn't. What I want to show, guys, is how close games of 9th edition can be when you've got 2 nice, balanced, Koth no Marine armies facing each other. Every point matters. 2 players using every ounce. I mean, we have been really fair to each other, and we've had to dice off a couple of things, but really we've been really careful, really close to the rules.
Really attentive to the rule book.
Really attentive to the rule. We've learned that rule book is terribly laid out, but we'll get into that another day.
I mean, I already knew that.
But the point is, guys, is that it just goes to show you have to be on it. Every single point matters. Because if I hadn't killed that last Succubus with a single, long range frag grenade from a frag grenade launcher, Johnny would have won. It's as simple as it got. So
I thought when I tied these guys up, when I killed one squad, tied another squad up, I thought that Succubus is alive. I don't know how you killed it, but you just did.
The Stormies with reroll 1s to hit just are brilliant. So that is the end of the game, guys. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Really, really, really close game. Really high scoring game. I'm sure, don't forget to check out Johnny's channel, the Schola Progenium. He does loads of videos. He actually does more battle reports than I do. I'm sort of more the daily tactics video. He does sort of weekly battle reports. So go and check his channel out. Absolutely fantastic. Loads of great content. And as we always say, I cover a lot of the Horde armies, and then Johnny covers things like Drukhari, Deathwatch, Marines, Knights. So between us, we've got all the bases covered. So if you haven't found something that you like on my channel, be sure to check out the Schola Progenium, because you'll probably find what you need over there. So without further ado, we're going to wrap that battle up, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a real nail biter for us. I think it's been a 6-hour battle report, which is not too bad when you've got 2 armies with this level of sort of cerebralness going on. I'm going to cut it off there. We're going to keep it short. If you want to know more about my tactics and the thoughts that were going through my head on this battle report, then I will be doing an after-action report. Thank you for watching. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Goodbye to Schola Progenium.
Goodbye.
And we'll see you guys next time.